I would like to go back to the development because, as I know, you had some difficulties because, as in the introduction, we talked about that there are very few agencies that develop Drupal applications. You had some core developers over from the States, from Drupal to support.
So early on I probably sort of started from the wrong end there. Now, really what happened was when we decided to go with Drupal, we essentially had a quick look at ourselves, but we also thought we should at least start right and go into the right direction. So we should get some advice from people who really know this platform. And yes, I mentioned earlier that there weren't really, to our knowledge, any people in Australia that we could draw on. So we had two people flown over from the United States who worked for, or who still work for a company called Lullabot, who are essentially Drupal consulting and training. That is their core business. They also have a regular podcast, etc., and are just really active in both the development of core and modules, as well as basically being evangelists for the platform and prolific teachers that are pretty much on any event. Anyway, we did have them flown over for a week. And it wasn't meant to be development at all. We weren't really at that stage. It was more them having a look at our site at the time.
So
as
it was a question of, at that point, to
very
start
much more
right
about architecture and what can we do without coding at all. Which bits of the site could we potentially translate to Drupal without having any development? What is there? How can we configure the tools of Drupal to achieve what we already have there, basically translating.
Yeah, that's often the question. I mean, if you have sites with a lot of content, always the client, if there's porting necessary, the client always asks you, what can we do to benefit from the content and how can we transfer our content to the new site?
Yeah, I mean, the whole point of going with a content management system is that we don't code our own application. So how can we use what's there, what's maintained by the community to achieve and translate? So there was and I believe this would be the same case with other content management systems, open source or not. There's many ways of doing something, and you might have 5 different ways, and there's an anxiety of choice, I guess, where which one do we go?
Of course.
At the moment, we can see it happening each one of those 5 ways, but you might progress a couple of weeks down one path and then see that we should have actually gone another way because now we hit something that we
didn't expect at the beginning.
Couldn't really foresee until we actually reached that point. So we wanted to avoid making too many of those not wrong decisions, but basically
experiences. which are experiences, but they cost time, and you had a point where you had to release the portal.
And if you basically start with people who have it is their first project to actually now create this really quite broad site into Drupal, and it's the first exposure to using Drupal, it's quite a risk to waste a lot of time by trial and error approaches. And so we thought we at least minimize that risk by doing what we can. And that was, in our case, getting some people flown over. So they were there for a week and did a lot of analysis of what we had there and produced some documentation, etc. And basically provided a very broad map of how we could proceed within the different areas, and
so that really helped to do the basic steps right and to do the right decisions in the beginning. And and 1 week is not a lot, but probably to to at least ask the questions directly and have a direct, professional, profound, knowledge-based answer is really worth.
It made us all feel warm and fuzzy, and we're just doing the right thing.